I don't know how to support my girlfriend in her passion that she's terrible at. We've been together for almost 3 years now, and for the most part, the relationship is lovely. But there's an increasingly large part of her life which is causing issues. Writing. My girlfriend always tells me about how much she loves writing. Though she doesn't write professionally, it's always been a hobby of hers, and it's one that she takes a lot of pride in. She's even been starting to write some rough drafts of a light novel recently, and she enjoys every second of it. The problem? Her writing is the worst I've ever seen from someone our age, bar none. Now, I don't claim to be a good writer whatsoever. I've seen plenty of fantastic writing, and I'm well aware that I could never produce anything remotely close to that. In general though, I'm at least able to write at a competent level. It's not perfect or great, but it gets the job done. Her writing, on the other hand, is incredibly difficult to read, even at a basic level. Punctuation is seemingly random. There are paragraph-long sentences without a comma in sight. Tenses change over and over in the middle of a thought, without warning. The vocabulary is never beyond a middle school level, which causes the entire thing to read like a 7th grade English assignment. To clarify, she's a native English speaker, so this isn't due to the language itself being uncomfortable for her. The content is also meandering, seemingly jumping from one idea to the next with no rhyme or reason. Again, if you were to read it, you would just assume that a preteen child wrote it. I don't mean to spend this much space belittling her work, but I feel like I need to drive home that this isn't just some issue of personal preference. It's really as close to objectively poor writing as you can get. Further confounding the issue is the fact that she's extremely proud of all her writing. She talks over and over about how she's a writer and claims that it's one of her greatest skills. She's turned it into a major part of her identity. She constantly asks me to proofread pieces of her novel, and I don't even know what to do. I've tried basically rewriting the whole thing, and I've tried being more hands-off, only marking a few punctuation changes in there, knowingly leaving in countless errors. When I do the former, she seems to be genuinely hurt, asking me what was wrong with the original she showed me. When I do the latter, I feel like I'm basically lying to her about one of the things she cares about most. She loves to show people her writing and, I hate saying this, I feel incredibly embarrassed when she does. I can see their confused expressions as they give her a cursory "wow, this is great," which she always takes to heart. She's an incredibly kind and loving person, so no one in her life can bring themselves to tell her the truth, knowing it would shatter her happiness and self-esteem. And, the biggest problem of all, she's going to be self-publishing her work soon. If someone buys her novel and leaves a review, she'll be devastated when she reads it. I've tried to subtly hint that maybe she should learn more about grammar and punctuation, just to make her writing even better. I've told her that reading more herself might be a great idea, and maybe she can learn some new words to use in her novel. But whenever I surface these ideas, her interest is practically zero. I have no idea what to do here. Some days I just want to be honest with her and tell her that she should really learn some fundamentals of writing before trying to publish something. But at the end of the day, I just want her to be happy. I feel like no matter what, she's going to have to face this truth, whether it's from me or someone reading her novel and giving an honest review. How can I support her while not supporting her misconception about her abilities? I find it humorous that she constantly asks for proofreading but can't handle any criticism. Maybe giving her a creative writing seminar with a professional editor will help her see the harsh truth and push her to find her own editor. Stay strong and supportive in the meantime. Am I the antagonist for being annoyed at my BF's "I don't want to say it now" attitude? My 29-year-old female boyfriend, 29-year-old male, and I have been together for about 6 years. We have very different personalities, which at times leads to conflict. This post is about a specific situation that keeps happening, I'd say weekly, and has often annoyed me until I finally addressed it today. This last straw exemplifies the problem pretty well. My boyfriend came to me to make me try a post-workout smoothie he just made. He said it was incredibly good and thick, better than the ones he made in the past. While I didn't want to try it as I had just brushed my teeth, I asked what he put in it to make it so good. He said not now, and turned around to drink it. I said, come on, just tell me. And he replied, it's like 8 ingredients. I don't want to explain now. To which I again said, can't you just tell me what you used? Just some of it? Banana milk? He turned around and was like, just drop it. I don't want to explain now, and that's okay. This happens often. He'll be scrolling his phone on the couch and he'll read a headline written in a language that he understands, and I don't. He'll make a surprised expression to which I'll ask what does it say, but he'll just shake his head and say something along the lines of not now. There are many more examples, but the point is that it is always things that he could tell me in less than 10 seconds, in moments where there is no stress at all. A very short list of ingredients, a name, a sentence, you name it. When confronted, he'll say he's tired after work, or in the example of the smoothie, that he would have told me some other time if I wanted to make the smoothie myself. I feel like postponing or rescheduling an incredibly short answer like that is ridiculous. I cannot imagine anyone else doing it, and I cannot imagine any state of mind where this reaction would make sense to me. Here is where I might be the asshole. After he wouldn't tell me what was in the smoothie, I admittedly acted kind of annoyed cold for the next 10 minutes, until he asked if something was up. I told him I was annoyed we wouldn't tell me what was in the smoothie, as he could have done that in just a few seconds. He reacted pretty irritated as well, saying that it was his right not to have to tell me at that moment as he simply didn't feel like explaining how he made it, and he was now himself annoyed at me for making it into a discussion. We, both not happily, decided to agree to disagree and dropped it. I am aware of how silly this sounds, but I thought that this example, while it might seem superficial, is an interaction on which I can more easily get an outside opinion that might help me think about other, more intricate issues. Was I the asshole for being annoyed at my boyfriend for not telling me what was in the smoothie? Or am I just not getting where he's coming from whenever he doesn't want to give me a quick answer like the ones described? You were just trying to reciprocate polite conversation by asking what was in the smoothie, not for him to recite a recipe verbatim. Pretty reasonable, since he was asking you to ingest it. His reaction makes it sound like there's arsenic in there or something. I don't know who I married and I don't know what to do. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. I just gave birth to our son 2 months ago while husband was deployed. Here's some background info on us. We both come from a military background. He is still active duty while I am now out of the military working in a different career field. We were living overseas and moved to our current home 4 months ago. I was diagnosed with PCOS, have had 2 miscarriages, and after trying for 3 years, we went the IVF route. So it has been a long and stressful journey for us to have our miracle baby. My husband left for deployment when I was 8 months pregnant, living in an empty house, sleeping on an air mattress, with a new job in a new country. I don't want this to be a pity party, but I do want to stress that I was not having a great time. On top of this, my father was diagnosed with cancer and going through chemo during this time. My mom came out for my son's birth to help me, but it was a very traumatic experience where I had to have an emergency C-section. My son almost didn't make it, and we were in the hospital for a week. My mom could only stay a couple weeks because she needed to get back to help my dad. Okay, now to my marriage. My husband and I met in the military. I have been deployed, so I know just how much cheating and lying goes on, and it's disgusting. I have always told him that cheating is a deal breaker for me and I needed honesty in our relationship. I asked him to respect my wishes of not going to strip clubs and not staying out until 4 a.m. Well, this is the 3rd time I've caught him lying about going to a strip club. I saw his location at a club at 2 a.m. and immediately tried calling him. He ignored the call, got an Uber to his hotel, and didn't text me until the next day like nothing happened. I was livid. I didn't respond to him because he was coming home the following day, and I wanted to talk in person so he couldn't hide anything. That night, he got so drunk that he lost his phone on the way to the airport. When he showed up, he acted like nothing happened. In the process of getting him a new phone, I found a dating app for married individuals seeking an affair, was downloaded the day after he left for deployment. While I was sitting in an empty house 8 months pregnant, he downloaded that app. I went to our phone bill and saw that there were no transactions for the app. I know that men have to pay to use this app, so maybe he didn't use it. The fact that he has the app is messed up, regardless. Then I look at his bank statements and see that he spent almost $300 at the strip club that he denied he went to. He said he had no idea it was a strip club, even though he spent 4 hours there. I asked if he was blind or stupid. That conversation happened 2 days ago, and he's sticking to his story, just denying everything and then acting like nothing is wrong. I don't know who this man is anymore. I'm so disappointed and just dumbfounded. I took off my ring and have been sleeping in the guest bedroom since he returned. I don't ever see myself trusting him again. I want my son to have a father in his life, but I can't afford to live in this area if we split. What do I do? It sounds like your husband is not respecting your boundaries or honesty in the relationship. It's important to prioritize yourself and your child's best interests, even if it means moving on from a relationship that involves repeated dishonesty and gaslighting. Don't put your life on hold for someone who is not committed to being honest and respectful towards you. I don't know if I, 32, reacted right regarding a friend's 34 wedding. Hi, so maybe you can tell me if I acted right. I, 32-year-old female, have a friend that moved away last year. She, 34-year-old female, has a little one, was engaged, and they set a date for summer 24 to get married. Although she moved several states away, it's a 6-7 hour drive, we kept in touch. Talked on the phone a bunch. When they set a date back in October, she asked me if I would consider being their wedding photographer for the day as a wedding present. I was a little taken aback, because we are not that close, and wedding presents where I come from are around €100, €150 per person, depending on the wedding reception. I am a professional wedding photographer with a rate of €350 hour. I asked how many hours she wanted covered because depending what she's thinking of, it would be a very big present. Also, I normally have the rule that I don't shoot friends' weddings. There's just too much conflict potential. She argued that she normally wanted 3 hours covered, but looking at my hourly rate would be fine with 2. She also said I could bring my husband, that the ceremony would be a small affair, but he was more than welcome to come to the reception. I talked to my husband and we decided to take a small vacation in her state after the wedding. I knew that it was normally too much to ask for, but considering all circumstances I was okay with it. Time passed and we didn't talk about the wedding again. At the beginning of the month, she sent me a message a day before my birthday, asking if her invitation had arrived. I told her yes, thanked her in mine and my husband's name, and said we were looking forward. She was a little bit taken aback and asked if I knew that the invitation was only for me and my husband was not included. I didn't know what to say and told her that no, I didn't know that. The invitation was written in plural. For example, "We are looking forward to celebrating this day with you guys." She got really defensive and said that she didn't think I would invite my husband without talking to her first. I then reminded her of our conversation. There's no way I would have invited my husband without talking to the bride and groom. I wouldn't have thought of bringing him if she didn't bring it up herself. She then claimed that she couldn't remember our talk and said it must be dementia from breastfeeding. I told her that I was really upset and we should talk after my birthday. I asked photographer friends for advice, and they told me that this was very off-putting. Normally I would earn €700 just for taking the pictures, and my contract states there is a fee for traveling, so she as a client would have to pay for my hotel and traveling expenses too. My photographer friends told me that the least she could do was offering to pay for a hotel or traveling, or both as a way to say thank you, but she didn't. I never expected it. I was willing to pay for traveling and a hotel myself. After my birthday passed, I wrote her a message and voiced my disappointment. I said it was way too much to ask that I come to her wedding to work, pay for traveling and the hotel for myself. It would be a big present for my husband and I as a couple in the first place, but for me to have these expenses alone, it's just not reasonable. I also felt really taken advantage of. My friends asked me if I would have been invited if I wasn't taking the pictures, and I just don't know. She got really defensive and said that she talked to her fiancé, and they already decided my husband could come so we could just leave it all behind. I then told her that my husband was not feeling welcomed anymore, and that I also decided not to attend the wedding, and was communicating this early on so she has an opportunity to find someone else. She tried calling me because she said she is not feeling good about my decision. I told her we could talk at the end of the week, but I was not changing my mind. I also said this does not have to affect our friendship, that I totally understand that they want to have a small intimate wedding, and as I respect her boundaries, I hope she respects mine. Some time has passed, and she didn't try to reach me again. I think the friendship is done for, and I keep thinking if I could have handled the situation any better, or if I am overreacting. Maybe someone can give me an insight. Would appreciate it very much. You're smart to have the policy of not working for friends. Weddings especially are a vortex of drama, and brides often look for someone to point their anxiety toward. If she's a real friend, she pays you like a complete stranger pays you, and she doesn't say a word more. Anything else is a manipulative mooch. So at least you know now, and you can be rid of her. Of course she isn't feeling good about your decision. Now she has to find and pay for a photographer. You've done the right thing. She pushed a little too much when she decided your husband couldn't come at all. She was willing to ask for so much and didn't even want to feed your husband a meal. You were being used. The friendship is over, but not because you did anything wrong. When a friend tries to use you, they are no longer a friend. Am I the antagonist for not helping my wife after a ski accident? We are on a ski vacation abroad. I was with my 7-year-old child skiing, while my wife was skiing in a different slope in the same resort. We agreed to meet in a specific place because I cannot call her as she didn't turn roaming on her phone. I was initially insisting on turning on the roaming in case of emergencies or something important, but she refused, saying she is not addicted to a cell phone and can survive without using it. It already caused us some small trouble when picking up our child from ski lesson a day ago, but that's a separate topic. Today we couldn't meet with my wife as she wasn't where we agreed to meet. My child and myself started to be worried but couldn't reach her. We waited over half an hour. I later received a call from her and she immediately started angrily blaming me why we weren't at place X, which is not the place we agreed. I explained we were waiting for her for quite some time in the previously agreed location. She then told me to come to her as soon as possible as she had a bad accident. I was very worried and asked her what happened and how she is. She refused to answer and said just come fast. I asked again how she is and what happened, but she didn't tell me. So we did go as fast as we can. It was hard as our child cannot ski fast, and we had to do 2 slopes to reach that location. Once we met, I asked what happened and she said, "I'll tell you later." It annoyed me as hell because it's not the first time that she says something important happened, but she can't tell me what. I asked how she is and what's wrong and she says, "I just need to have some rest." I got really annoyed and insisted, "Tell me what was the accident and which part of body she hurt." She refused to answer and said, "She'll tell me once we go to hotel." I said I don't like that she's making me stressed. We are in a hurry, but she doesn't say what's wrong. She tells me I'm selfish and only care about my curiosity. I lost my cool and said she is toxic and making me and child very worried, and then just keeping us in that state. And I said her that I'm not going with her to the hotel now, as I have something else to do. So she left. So now we're not talking. We came to the hotel and she's resting in bed. I don't know what she hurt or how she is. She doesn't tell me. She did tell our child that she hurt her feet when skiing though. For more context, this is not the first time such thing happened, that's why I was pissed. So many times it happened that, for example, she calls me, saying something crazy happened like our child fell really bad, and when I ask how she is, she just says I'll tell you later and hangs up. So I have to sit home 1 hour or whenever she comes completely stressed, just to hear her telling me why was I worried, because kids fall all the time, what's to worry? So am I the asshole for being pissed off for her not telling me what was wrong and not helping her go to the hotel? That is so incredibly manipulative. To top that off, she's mad at you for something you warned her about, but she refused. She doesn't want you to help or even to give her sympathy. She wants you to feel bad. My God, I don't know how people get married to someone like this. She sounds like a nightmare to interact with. I'm not sure what she expects you to do, honestly. If she isn't willing to tell you what happened, then what exactly can you do to help? Unless something is going on beyond what you're telling us, I don't think there's a lot you can do. I not long found out my BF cheated on me with his ex-child's mom. Bit of backstory, I am 32 weeks pregnant with our baby, and last night I couldn't sleep, because for a few weeks I've been having this gut feeling something isn't quite right, and last night, it was so strong I couldn't settle. I stupidly picked up his phone and checked his messages. For your information, I have never ever done this before. Turns out he's been dirty talking and slept with his ex twice when she's dropped his child off at our house when I've been out. I didn't even read many of the messages, maybe 2 or 3 days worth, definitely saw enough, pictures and dirty talk from both sides, before waking him up and confronting him. I was so upset and shaking I just threw the phone down and screamed at him. He deleted all messages now. He said they've only been speaking like this for 6 days and have only slept together twice, but I don't believe him. Apparently she confessed feelings for him, even though they've been split for years and his gullible self just fell for it, and then they agreed to be friends with benefits behind my back. I think the parts I'm struggling with the most right now are the fact that A, I'm heavily pregnant and feel super gross about my body, B, our own sex life has dwindled in the last few weeks. He states this is because I'm always in pain, and knowing he could hurt me more doesn't get him in the mood. C, it's his ex, who he has a child with, and will never not be able to have contact with. D, it was in our house, not in my bed thankfully, but still in our home and more than once. He says he has put an end to it and it was a silly mistake, and it won't happen again, blah blah blah. But in my opinion, a mistake is once. You cannot make the same mistake twice and also continue to talk to someone throughout the week, sending pictures etc. while making a mistake. I guess my question is it possible to make a relationship work after the other person has cheated? Like, if we both actually want to make this work and he goes through with his promises to me etc., is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Has anyone ever been cheated on and still with their partner now? Like I say, I live with this man. We have a baby with a serious heart condition about to be born in the next 2 months, and I do truly love him. I just don't know if I can live my life with it looming over me for however long. It hasn't even been 12 hours yet since I found out, so it's still pretty raw, but I've not had any sleep all night. All I've done is cry, and I've had to take the day off work today because I cannot physically or emotionally cope with the mental load of it all. Do I just need to ride it out and let my hormones and feelings relax and see where things go? Please tell me this gets better. I don't want to be alone, but I also don't want to be taken for a mug. Thank you for reading if you got this far. Can a relationship continue healthily after you've been cheated on? He has completely abused your trust, and I would never be able to forgive him if I was in your shoes. She's not just a random person. This woman will always be in his and your life if you stay. How many more times will he agree to be friends with benefits with this woman all because she said she liked him? He won't change, and now she knows she can have him. She won't stop trying. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.